welcome to my channel, and my name is Stephanie, and this is my week 1 of September wrap up, September the 2nd through the 8th. As I said, this is my week 1. I'm calling this week the first week of September, even though the 1st of September was technically in last week of August and it was only one day, and yeah. So as you can see, I am out of the sling, although you may see a video coming this week with the sling on because I pre-recorded that one. Didn't think that I was or wanted to release it last week, but didn't. So I won't be moving my arm too much because I'm trying to keep the inflammation down. But yeah, so last week was very interesting. I read 9 books, and yeah, I started off the week really good because it was a holiday, and I think I got like 3 or 4 books done before the week actually really started, because I got 2 done on one day and then like another 2, and these aren't short books. Not like last month where I read a whole bunch of short books together. But let's get into which books I actually read. So I started the week off with To All the Boys I Loved Before, book number 1 by Jenny Han. This is a YA novel. I listened to it on audiobook and I gave it 4 stars. This is a Laura Jean story about how when she sort of got backed into a corner and wanted to express her feelings, she didn't know how to, so she wrote letters to the boys that affected her. And this story, for me, it was really weird because I watched the movie adaptation on Netflix and I really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, it's such a cute and sweet and soon-worthy book and, you know, or movie. So I was like, maybe the book will give me a little more explanation into what's going on. And yeah, then I listened to the book, and by the end of it, I was like, so I'm starting to think to myself that the book, or excuse me, the movie adaptation is all 3 books put together, and then so I would actually technically need to read the rest of the series to really get a good grasp of what's going on in the movie. Maybe. Or maybe I won't, and I'll just enjoy the movie separately, like I've done with some books. The next book I read was The Right Side of Forever, which is book number 2 in the Perfect Duet by Meghan Quinn. I place this in contemporary. I give this book 5 humongous, amazing, fabulous stars, because if I could give it more, I would. I read it as an arc. This is the conclusion to Colby's story, and oh my god, I was left mad and sad and just all in my feelings from the first book in this duet. But this book gave me all the answers, gave me all the feels. Even though the first like 25% of it I was still kind of mad and angry, by the end of it I was like, yes, 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 so many, yes. I absolutely loved this conclusion. I am happy that it sort of took 4 books. Yes, 4 books. Because even though this is a duet, Colby's story actually started in the Blue Line duet. And I don't care what anyone says, you pretty much have to read that duet, then come to this duet to get a full picture of all the awesomeness that is Colby. Yes. So many yeses. Then I read Real Dirty, which is Real Dirty Duet number 1 by Megan March. This is a contemporary. Also sort of borders lines on maybe possibly erotica, because it's real dirty. Real dirty. I give this one 4.525 stars. I listened to it on audiobook, and this is Boone and Ripley's story. Boone is a country singer that had plans to propose to his girlfriend during a concert, which the girlfriend didn't show up to. So to drown his feelings, he decides to go with one of his guitarists or drummer or something like that to a local bar, and Ripley owns that bar. They have some words and some tiffs because Ripley has a bit of a history as well. She has some family history, and she also has some personal history and does not like country stars. This all takes place in Nashville. I believe it's Nashville. And yeah, it's sexy, it's dirty, it even has some mystery and thriller to it, which brings me to the next book that I read, which is Real Sexy, and it's the Real Dirty Duet, book number 2 by Meghan March, and it's contemporary. I give this one 5 stars. Listen to it on audiobook, because after I read or listened to Real Dirty, I was like, I got to know what's going on and what's happening. So I went into Real Sexy, got my answers, still enjoyed the connection and chemistry of Boone and Ripley, and yes, then the thriller and murder mystery parts of it was pretty amazing as well. It's the conclusion. I now have another favorite author on my list, and Meghan March, that's you. Yes. Next book I read was Giving Her My Baby by Alexa Riley. This is a contemporary. It's also sort of a short story, or not short story, novella maybe? It's only like 90 pages long. Gave it 3 stars. It was what I needed at the time. I read it in ebook form. It has Brooks and Ella. Ella is a nurse. A baby nurse. And she goes to people's houses and wants to, help you get comfortable raising your newborn. Brooks has a mom that went to Vegas and married a con man. Come to find out, that con man is Ella's dad. And so Brooks kind of lies to her, but then as soon as he meets her is like, yes, I want her, I need her. I'm going to put babies in her belly for her. Yeah. It was everything I needed for that moment, so it got 3 stars. The next book I read, Dark Lover, Black Dagger Brotherhood, book number 1 by J.R. Ward. This is a PNR book, and you guys really reached out to me and was like, what? Why? Because initially I DNF'd this book at like 30%. I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. No, cutting it off. 30%. I was trying to listen to this in audiobook as well. So I was like, oh, so many storylines going, so many characters. Beth, Marissa, Wrath, Torment, Zadis, Mr. X, Omega, Jose, Butch, Havers, Rage, Darius, the Lessers, the Society, Vicious, Fury, Billy, the Scribe Virgin, and Wellesley. Oh my god. I don't even think I got them all. I think I probably missed a couple. But there's so many characters. And I would place this in the whole category of being like a Game of Thrones sort of story. And that's why I haven't read Game of Thrones, because it has way too much going on for me. Way too much going on for me. And there's 16 books in this series. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's a good thing that this is available through the romance package on Audible, because otherwise I wouldn't be reading this series. I am going to read the next book. I overall ended up giving this series 3 stars as well, because I didn't like it, love it, I'm going to be diving into the second book. But at the same time, it wasn't as bad as I initially thought. There was some intrigue that was built into the story, and I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Yes. Another thing that really, really annoyed me was that she continued to write about how big and sexy and bulging and It's cool if you tell me once or twice in the beginning of the book how sexy and fabulous these, vampires are, because that's who they are. I was like, okay, that's cool. But then at 70%, you're still telling me how big and sexy and fabulous I'm like, got it. Thanks. Didn't need to know anymore. Then the fact that the sex scenes are so clinical. I get it that it is mass marketed and this is a mainstream series, so you kind of have to play within the publishing lines and things like that, but God, they're clinical. Ugh. Bah. Then another thing. Not using people's names when the narrator would be talking as Wrath, he would like talk about everyone else sort of in the third person. It was really weird, and they were like, or use descriptors to say that that's the person, you know, Wrath, and that's my angel, and blah blah blah, to be talking about Beth instead of saying Beth, my angel, or, you know, Beth did this, or Zadis did this. It would be a descriptor of, you know, that big beastly kind of guy. Too much. But I am going to read the next book just because I'm a little intrigued. The next book I read was When I'm With You, Hopetown number 3 by Harper Sloan. This is a contemporary. This is also a reread for me. I still give it 5 humongous stars. I listened to it as an audiobook, and I actually borrowed it on accident because I thought I hadn't read it, but then I did read it. I had read it, and I just loved this audiobook and made me love the story even more. It was, for me, it's telling me, you know, it gave me that new dynamic of Ember and Nate and how they got together and how Dirty was, the club was brought to being, and how Nate was the owner, and it was so great. I loved this little peek back into the Hopetown core security guys. The next book I read was Drunk on You, which is Hopetown number 4 by Harper Sloan. This is also a contemporary. As I said, this one I had not read, so I was super happy. This book was amazing. Listened to it as an audiobook, gave it 5 stars. This story is Shane and Nicole's story. So Shane is Nate's BFF and partner for the club Dirty. Nicole is Ember's, or Emberlyn, BFF and like friend. I had already knew Nicole. I loved Nicole in the book before that I had read, and this is her story. Both of them have stage 5 clingers that they need to get rid of, so they work together and start flirting, and come to find out their flirtation had been for a long time coming, and their issues that they had with trust and everything like that, it was just, I really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. And then to hear it in my ear told to me, I loved it even more. So definitely 5 stars. Then the final book that I read for last week was Intercepted by Alexa Martin. I place this in contemporary. This is her debut novel. She is a Black author. I read it because I got it from NetGalley. Yes. And I give this book 4.525 stars. I read it as an arc, as I said. So this story is Marley and Gavin's story. Marley is the girlfriend of an NFL player in Denver. And come to find out, she had already been feeling a little insecure in their relationship because they had been together for like 10 years and he hadn't put a ring on it. Not saying that that's a bad thing, you know, that he needs to put a ring on it like right away, things like that. But they had been together before he had become an NFL star and he still hadn't. So there were some issues there. They were on a break one time and she met Gavin. Well, then it was a one-night stand. And then all of a sudden, now 10 years or 4 years later, Gavin comes back into her life because he gets traded to her boyfriend's team. And then some things happen. She finally sees her boyfriend as what he is, which is a douche. And she doesn't necessarily befriend Gavin right away. He has to work for it. And I really enjoyed that aspect. I was a little leery in the beginning of the book and the story that there was the use of hashtags throughout the beginning and also throughout the story. But I thought it was going to be overrun with hashtags because it had that social media side sort of to it. And then they ebbed out and they evened out, and it ended up being a fabulous way of saying, you know, what she was thinking, and I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. This is also a Black author, and this story is about an interracial couple that I believe it's an interracial couple. From the descriptions, it sounds like there's some different races going on there. So yes, that is what I read for the first week of September. Have you read any of the things that I have read? What are your thoughts on my thoughts about some of those books? If you have read them, let me know down in the comment section. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, there is a feedback form down in the description box so you guys can help me improve my channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys later.